Hi, okay, welcome to the exam collection. We have another 6 questions to keep you going with your revision ahead of these exams. So first one's on the screen. If you've been with us before, you definitely know what to do. Hit pause, have a go at the question and press play when you're ready. Okay, so a translation is a sort of slidey movement where we're sliding it around the grid. So we have to be very, very clear about what direction you move in. So the top number is our x-axis. So it's still kind of along the corridor and up and down the stairs. The negative next to this number means that I'm going backwards. And the fact that this is positive means that I will be going up. So I'm going to be moving 3 places this way and 2 places up. And I have already done that so that I don't mess it up with my software. So that's what it should have looked like. Okay, next question. Hit pause, press play when you're ready. Okay, so we've got a tree diagram. The story is telling us about the weather and about how that will affect or impact the buses. So we need to complete the tree diagram. If the chance or probability of it snowing is 0.2, then the probability of it not snowing is 0.8. Remember, probability always adds to 1. Now, the next one that we look at for the buses here, if it snows, there is a 0.7 chance the buses will run, and it has to add to 1, 0.3, they will not. If it doesn't snow, so if it hasn't snowed, then the chances the buses will run is much higher. So we would expect that. So this feels like it's true to life, 0.95. So the probability it won't, remember it has to add to 1, is going to be 0.05 here. We're then being asked to work out the probability that it will snow and the buses will not run. So this is me going along snow and will not run. That pathway takes me past these 2 probabilities. So I take these and I multiply them. 0.2 times 0.3 is 0.06. Now, a common mistake here is to write 0.6. Just use your calculator. It's on the calculator paper for 2022. That's what we're expecting. So just use it. Don't lose a mark by making an error that you don't need to make. Okay, next question. Hit pause, press play when you're ready. Okay, so we've got a function machine. Work out the output when the input is 5. So if the input is 5, 5 is going in, getting multiplied by 4. 5 times 4 is 20, and then you add the 3, which is 23. Now, this is the important thing here. If you grab your calculator and you do 5 times 4 plus 3, no, actually, I'm making this up. All right, for this particular one, it won't happen. But the warning that I was going to make is your calculator is set up for BIDMAS. And if you just throw it in one go, there is a risk that you're going to get, a different answer. So this one, actually, it wouldn't have happened. So I was about to say it was when it wouldn't. Sorry about that. But no, it's serious. It's something to be really, really mindful of. Okay, with a function machine, do the first bit, pressure equals. Do the next bit, pressure equals. I cannot recommend that as a top tip highly enough. Okay, the next bit is we're working out the input when the output is -5. So this time I'm going in the opposite direction. I've got the output of -5. So I've got -5. Because I'm going in the opposite direction, I'm going to be using the inverse operations, basically the opposite of add and the opposite of times. The opposite of add is take away. So I'm doing -5 minus 3, which is -8. And then I'm going to divide that through by 4, which is -2. So just be careful when you're using the calculator on that. Okay, this is really what makes this question a grade 4, grade 5 question because it starts to bring the algebra in. Now, all you have to do, and this is true of algebra anywhere, all you have to do is just think, you know, what is my method? What do I normally do? And just do it with the letters. So this time we're being told the input is X and you've got an output of Y. Now, writing Y in terms of X sounds complicated, but let's just go with what we know. If the input is X, X is going to go in and it's going to be multiplied by 4. That's going to give me 4 times X, which tidies up to 4X. Now, if I keep going, I then have to add 3. So I'm going to add 3. And that is what's coming out. That is what Y equals. So writing Y in terms of X literally just means Y equals 4X plus 3. You just pop that Y on in front of it. If you did it on the end, if you did 4X plus 3 equals Y, you would still get the mark. So you don't need to worry too much about that. Okay, next question. Hit pause and press play when you're ready. Okay, so with a two-way table, it's all just sort of adding and taking away, finding those missing values. Again, make sure you're using your calculator carefully. Don't input anything wrong, and it should come out fine. Where you choose to start will be what you see. Here, there are 2 different starting points. I could find this one because I've got all 3 numbers here and just 1 missing. Or I could find this one because I've got all the numbers I need apart from just 1 missing. I'm actually going to start here because there's less work to do. So 23 take away 16 is 7. So pop it in. And then you can start working on the next thing. Okay. So we've got actually another place here. I'm going to do that one next. Okay. So 120 take away 78 is 42. And then I'm going to do 42 take away 7 take away 14, which gets me that one. 21 plus 22 is 43. That gets me that one. 120 minus 23 minus 43 is 54, which would mean that has to be 40, and it's done. So the order that you do it in is just the order that you kind of see, and you just follow what goes with what you're seeing. Okay, it says one of the 120 people is picked at random, and you have to find the probability that this person bought a vanilla ice cream cone. Okay, so we've got vanilla and we've got cone, so we've got that number there. So 22 out of 120. Okay, and one thing to really point out here is it has to be written as a fraction. You could go with a decimal. I sometimes see answers like this. That's not going to get you anything. It's not a ratio that you're writing, okay? So that's really important. Or I've even seen 22 out of 120, and they won't give it to you if you do that either. So it's really important that you do this, okay, and get it in that fraction form. There's no need to S to D it and get it as a decimal. Okay, next question. Looks huge and wordy, doesn't it? Okay, read through it really carefully. Have a go. Press play when you're ready. Okay, so this is actually very straightforward, and it's not as hard as it looks. It's just very wordy. So in August, Eddie hired a car in Italy. You've got some details about the cost and the exchange rate, and then you have to work out what that was in euros. Now we have a fact here. The exchange rate is a fact. It's a pair that goes together. You can't change that fact. I also have another piece of information here. So for the students I teach, they hear this all the time. Okay, if I've got 3 pieces of information and I need to find the 4th, then it's a good chance boxes and labels can help me organize. If I've got a pair, if I've got a fact, good chance boxes and labels is going to make a difference. And it absolutely will with exchange rate questions. So if you're someone that just struggles a little bit with organizing what to do with the numbers, That's what this does. It just structures the numbers for you. So my exchange rate, pounds to euros, I've got 1 and 1.25. The other piece of information was in pounds. So that will go into my pounds column. This is my trap number, which is always on the bottom. And when you've got 1 on the bottom, it doesn't really need to be there, does it? But if you just set it up, you can just feel confident you're doing everything right. So that was the answer to that one. The exchange rate is still the same. When you read on, it's still exactly the same. So for part B, I'm literally setting up the exact same thing. This time they're talking about the cost of perfume in Italy being 50 euros and 42 pounds, and we're trying to work out the difference. So I've either got to change everything to euros or pounds, but when I read on, it does say give your answer in pounds. So it would be much, much more sensible to just go straight into changing into pounds. So I'm going to put the 50 euros here. My trap number is that this time. Timesing through by 1, again, not making a big difference. That gives me 40. So that gives me 40 pounds. I want the difference. So to just finish it off, I've got to do 42 for the London price, take 40 pounds for the Italy price to get me 2 pounds. And it's really tempting not to write that down because it's such a simple, easy piece of math. So you just do it naturally in your head without thinking about it. But again, really, really important. This is your GCSE. You do not want to risk anything. So write literally everything that you are doing to answer the question down on the paper. Okay, last question. Hit pause and press play when you're ready. Okay, so what I want you to be looking for is the keyword mean. When you've got mean in a table, which we've got here, then we are looking at the MAD method. That just gives me a trigger, just something to remind me about the steps that I have to take. I have to multiply and add and then divide. Those are the steps of my method. So what am I multiplying? In this case, because I have a range here in my class, I'm going to be taking the midpoint. So I'm going to take 1, I'm going to multiply it through to the frequency, and it will give me a total. Here it will be 3, and so on. So we've got 5 times, 7 times, and 9 times. This comes out at 120, 280, and 63. So I've done the timesing bit. Now I need to do the add. The obvious thing to add is obviously this here, because I've just created those numbers. It would be pretty foolish not to use them. So when I add that up, I get 495. And I might then jump to the divide stage. I've got to divide, but what do I divide by? Well, think about what mean means. It's add them all up and divide by how many are there. So I now need to divide by how many are there. The common mistake that I see is people dividing by the number of rows. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 rows. So people will divide by 5. This is completely wrong. We want to divide by how many are there. That's the total frequency. So I haven't actually finished with my add stage. I need to add up my total frequency, which is 85. And now I've got everything I need. So 495 divided by 85 equals 5.8235. On and on it goes. Check in with the question. Question says 1 decimal place. So 5.8 is my final answer. Now, a really good check that you can do with this is just make sure that your answer would actually sit in the table somewhere. 5.8 would most certainly sit in the table. It sits about here. So I know that things are looking good and I've highly likely to have done it correctly. Whereas if I had done 495 and divided that by 5, I would have a much, much bigger number than 10. I'd have a number that would not fit in that table, and that should have my alarm bells ringing. All right, hopefully that has been another selection of useful questions. I will do another one very, very soon and keep you going all the way to your exams. Thank you for studying with us, and I will see you next time.